Immediate medical help is
okay.
required.
Just hold on. Hey, just think about all the good shit we're gonna have, huh?
What was the real reason behind Johnny Silverhand's death?
I'm sorry.
And what does his mysterious return as a hologram mean in Cyberpunk 2077? In this video, we will be exploring 1. The life of Johnny Silverhand and who he was prior to his meteoric rise to fame.
Sorry, Jonathan. Don't see any other way.
2. Why he suffered an untimely death, or so we are to believe. And 3. Just how the iconic Rocker Boy returns by the events of Cyberpunk 2077 and what his endgame for the player V truly is.
Wake the f*** up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
Cold War returns to life.
Originally, Johnny was a member of the American military during the Central American conflict, which started in 1990. It was a bloodbath, run by a corrupt and manipulative government. But when their secrets were exposed, many of the American soldiers dropped their red, white, and blue weapons. Instead, they fought back by deserting the military. The government used its power to create powerful propaganda to make the public hate all deserters. But Johnny Silverhand wouldn't fight a corrupt war, so he went back home to Night City and began his life anew. The military changed his life forever, and even his name to Silverhand, in lieu of the cybernetic limb that replaced his arm he lost at war. His every moment would remind him of his mission: rebellion. After Johnny put down the gun, he picked up the guitar and rose to fame as a rocker boy. A rocker boy in the world of Cyberpunk is something loosely akin to a bard class in Dungeons & Dragons. With a high charisma, style, and seduction, rocker boys have perks which inspire loyalty to their fans through their ability to persuade with music, art, or spoken word. This boon is much more potent in a world such as Cyberpunk's, where most information is tightly monitored and distributed by a government or megacorporations with one motive: maintain order and control. The Rocker Boy seeks to tear down the establishment and expose them for what they truly are. Although I would be remiss if I said that Rocker Boys were without their weapons outside of honeyed words and hypnotic hip thrusts. Rocker Boys sometimes resort to force, becoming murderous mariachis, and are highly skilled in brawling, weaponry, and are not afraid to actively use force to fight for what they believe in.
I'm just looking for a man who calls Mataron. Not yet.
Rocker Boys' personal favorite are more than just people who get up with a guitar and play. It's meant to expose corruption, indifference, problems that are happening every day. So it's music with a challenge.
As early as Cyberpunk 2020, Johnny had become something of an icon, not just in his solo music career. When forming the band Samurai, which later broke up, its effects can still be seen on pop culture some odd 57 years later during the events of Cyberpunk 2077. He planned to use his star power to begin a solo career and continue to push his anti-corporation and anti-government messages. DBS Music wanted to sign him so desperately, they threatened to reveal he was a deserter. Instead, Johnny Silverhand signed with Universal Music and released an entire album called Sins of Your Brothers, admitting that he was a deserter and revealing all the terrible things the government ordered. The album was wildly successful and changed public perception of what it means to be a deserter. And Johnny Silverhand was not even at the height of his career yet.
But a rocker boy doesn't have to be a musician. A rocker boy can be anyone who's a orator of the people, anybody who can talk to others and convince them by the power of words, music, sometimes art, and so forth. Interesting enough, Netrunners, we ended up with something a bit different originally.
In 2020, everything changed for Johnny Silverhand. He was on a walk with his new Netrunner girlfriend, Alt Cunningham, when she was taken and kidnapped by thugs working for the Japanese megacorporation Arasaka. Alt herself was responsible for a beta version of a program called Soul Killer that would make a digital emulation of a programmer's mind, effectively a copy of the consciousness. Arasaka was and is still one of the most powerful organizations in the entire world, with financial and political power unlike any other, and boasted the most secure mainframe of data on the planet at the time. They had planned to use Alt Cunningham for her incredible talent as a programmer. What they wanted was to make an even more deadly version of the Soul Killer, one that extracted information from a Netrunner and would simultaneously fry said Netrunner's mind after backing it up, allowing a sysop to interrogate it at will and learn all of their secrets.
Netrunners are effectively, I think of them as a combination of the thieves of the world and the information brokers of the world. They go in, they find stuff, but they find it within a network. And the net in Cyberpunk is more than just floating icons out there and bright colors. It's an information structure that these guys are very good at digging around in.
Solos prefer a direct approach. They use guns and might to get things done. So let's wreak some havoc.
Johnny did not take the kidnapping lightly. Hell-bent on rescuing his girlfriend, he made a plan. He gathered a strike team to infiltrate the Arasaka offices so that he could save Alt. Calling in a favor from all of the members of his old band, Samurai gathered and performed an entirely free show. The show, of course, was right in front of the Arasaka offices in Night City. The strike team made it there just moments too late. Arasaka had used Soul Killer on Alt since she was no further use to them, but a digital ghost broke free into the net. Johnny, when attempting to find Cunningham, faced Arasaka's deterrent, terrifying full Borg named Atom Smasher. A Borg is a person that was once human who eventually replaced so many of their body parts with cybernetic implants that there was no flesh left at all. This usually resulted in cyberpsychosis, an unwanted side effect of losing one's mind and humanity. Delving deeper into psychosis, the more you replace your flesh. Legend has it, Atom Smasher gunned down Silverhand with a rifle. His body, though, was never found, because Militech, a company fighting against Arasaka, launched their attack at the same time. They dropped a bomb on the Arasaka building, and nothing was left to find.
But first, remember the man, the myth, Johnny Silverhand. Been a year since he went on his last ride. All you gunks sitting in the afterlife nursing that scotch, waiting for something better. You know what I mean.
How did Johnny survive, and what happened to Alt Cunningham? Well, although CD Projekt Red may still retcon some of Johnny's backstory to fit their wider narrative, it is confirmed in Cyberpunk 2077 that Johnny's cyber ghost resides in the chip that the player V obtains. The official summary states, you play as V, a mercenary outlaw going after a one-of-a-kind implant that is the key to immortality. Which then begs the question, did Alt perfect her Soul Killer program into a Soul Saver and upload Johnny's consciousness before his death? Or is this Johnny just some guide, a crude simulacrum of his former self? Whatever the case, if the chip gets in the wrong hands, the power to upload one's consciousness to, say, a robot body without the pesky side effects of cyberpsychosis is a ghastly thought, and a means to near limitless power.
All right. I gotta talk to you about something.
One of the questions inevitably asked for the many Keanu fans is, can you woo or romance Johnny Silverhand? CD Projekt Red level designer Max Pears was quoted as telling VGC, Johnny plays a crucial role in the game, but as for the option, I don't believe you can. Outside of Johnny being a cyber ghost and not a human being, here's why this makes sense for the wider narrative. Johnny's last wish was to save his love Alt Cunningham in life, whose poster has officially cropped up in one of the game trailers, so she canonically exists in this universe, that is confirmed. As she was freed into the net after her death, and that version of the net was quarantined to keep out the free AIs out of the corporate-controlled internet. Basically, it means Alt in whatever form is residing beyond the legendary Black Wall. The Black Wall, as seen in gameplay reveals, is something the Voodoo Boys are intent on tearing down to find what's on the other side, as they have an almost religious connection with it. And Netwatch, adversely, is intent on keeping it intact to maintain order, and both will do so at any cost. Then in the middle, we have Johnny, who's been said to positively or negatively react to your in-game choices. Therefore, as the game has multiple endings, it can be hypothesized pretty safely you can help Johnny either free his one-time love from beyond the Black Wall and witness what a reunion would look like between digital ghosts, or leave her to rot in her cyber cage and hand over the chip to a soulless corporation for the right price, of course. That's it for the video, but what did you think of Johnny Silverhand and how he has reappeared in a new digital form? If you want to stay up to date with the flood of Cyberpunk videos pre-launch, I'm kicking them into high gear and will release at least 1 to 2 per week as things ramp up as we get closer to launch. That's it for the video. Thanks for watching, and as always, until next time, traveler.
Beyond there are no borders. Beyond the Black Wall.